Welcome to another edition of the Wild World of Math, Pre-Algebra edition. Today's lesson is a combination of other lessons you've had, so I'm just going to title it 1-7/8, which is translating word problems into equations. But first, before we move on to the main event, a mini review. To start us off, what are inverse operations? Inverse is a fancy word, not even fancy word, just a nice word. Inverse means opposite. Opposite operations. And as we know in math, operations are plus, addition, minus, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Got that? Alright, awesome. Next. So inverse operations, plus, minus, divide, multiply. Make that really a good dot. Awesome. All right. Part 2 of your mini review. List the two primary pairs of inverse operations. You know, light, dark, fiction, non-fiction. Moon, sun. Opposites in this case. Let's not get too much into the science of that because it's not exactly true in a lot of ways, but in math it is. Math tends to be cut and dried. So the two primary pairs of inverse operations would be adding and, that's an and sign, subtraction. To undo addition, you do subtraction. To undo subtraction, you do addition. The other primary two, you guessed it, would be division and multiplication. I could put the little xy thing that used to mean timesing multiplication for you, but it's algebra and pre-algebra. We're not going to use that anymore. So to get rid of or to undo division, you do multiplication. To undo multiplication, you do division. Recap. Inverse operations. Opposite operations. The two primary pairs of inverse you're going to use for now from till forever are adding, opposite subtracting, opposite division is multiplication. Page or slide 2. Word problem secrets. Number 1. Pick out the important term, or terms in this case. 2. Identifying the necessary operation or operations. And number 3, once you have it all lined up and you know what you have to do the math. Many word problems are just that, lots of words, not numbers and letters and things like that that help us identify pre-algebra and algebra. So you need to identify the synonyms and other words that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. I'm not going to go through them all right now, but if you look back a few lessons, I think it was 1-2, when Ms. Punko went through this, she gave you a big list in that you wrote down in your notes of synonyms, other words that mean the same thing as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So, write down 5 synonyms for addition, subtraction, 3 for multiplication, and 3 for division. Take the time to do it now. These words are going to help you identify what to actually do when we get to the examples, which start in the next slide or so. Take a moment now and write down your synonyms. Example 1. Mr. Bell is 2 meters tall. Together, Mr. Bell's and Mr. Eisenbrand's heights total 4 meters. How tall is Mr. Eisenbrand? Write an equation to represent Mr. Eisenbrand's height. So here's our steps. 1, 2, and then 3. We're not really going to do the math, but we're just going to write it out. Here we go. Let's identify important stuff. Mr. Bell is 2 meters tall. Together, that's a good word there, Mr. Bell and Mr. Eisenbrand's height total 4 meters. How tall is Mr. Eisenbrand? All right. So we have 2 meters tall We have total. Total tends to mean equals, and then we have 4 meters. We also have this word together, and together has a tendency to mean addition. As you did in your synonyms, you know that together often means addition. So let's write out our equation number 2 here. Our equation to go like this. Mr. Bell is 2 meters tall. Then we have this addition sign plus however tall Mr. Eisenbrand is. I'm just going to use the letter I to represent Mr. Eisenbrand. And we know that that equals 4 meters. So our formula for this problem, our equation for this problem is 2 meters, or 2, plus I equals 4 meters. To write it out without the would be just like 2 plus I equals 4. It is a word problem, so if you did the math and wrote the answer, you would give an answer that had a meters for a term, or sorry, for a label of what the measurement is. In this case, you don't have to worry about it right now as much, but here's what we're doing. Example number 2. Let's write down our things here. 1, 2, 3, if we're actually doing math. Alright. After paying $5.25 for a salad at Magnolia's, Mr. Bull has $27.50 left. Write an equation to represent how much money Mr. Bull had before buying the salad. Alright, let's highlight or underline our terms here. Mr. Bull paid $5.25 for a salad. He has that much after $27.50. So, also, I don't see an outright word that says add, subtract, multiply, divide. So using some logic, common sense, which again is not common, it's a superpower, we're going to say that paying explains our action. So let's go back, or go forward now, and write ourselves an equation, or write down important terms. So I'm going to make the judgment that paying means subtracting $5.25. And then has is going to be our equal sign. And how much did I have? I had $27.50 left. So the one we're missing is how much I had before. So let's do that. The money I had before, take away $5.25 equals $27.50. That's our equation. To do the math part of it, that's where we bring in inverse operations, and we would do the opposite of minus, which we've talked about as the inverse. The inverse operation would be adding. But we'll get into more of that later. Thank you. Example 3. Ms. Hachum is baking oatmeal cookies. Good. The recipe calls for 7 cups of sugar. She's already put in 2 cups. Write an equation to represent how many more cups of sugar Ms. Hachum needs to put in. Well, step 1, let's highlight our important information. Ms. Hachum's making cookies. The recipe calls for 7 cups. She's already put in 2 cups. Let's write an equation. Alright, here we go. So, we said 7 cups total, or calls for. And then, let's see here, she's already put in 2. So how many more cups of sugar does she need? Everybody follow that? We need 7 total. We have 2 in. What do we need left? So, formula. S plus 2 equals 7. Comments, questions, opinions? Good. Example 4. Mr. Smith has saved $55 toward the purchase of an iPhone 8. The iPhone 8 costs $145. Write an equation to represent the amount Mr. Smith needs to save to buy the iPhone 8. Alright, important information. So, Mr. Smith has saved $55 toward the purchase of an iPhone 8. The iPhone costs $145. Also, I'm going to think that this word purchase has something to do with it too, because it's going to tell us what the whole thing is going to end up being. Well, maybe not. I could be wrong too. Let's find out. Alright, so we have saved 55. So that's plus 5. He's put $55 in the bank. And the whole thing costs $145. So the total is this much. We want to know how much more is needed. Well, let's put these back in order and get an equation. So, Mr. Smith needs some money, or more, plus the $55 he's already saved to equal up to $145. So, M plus 55 equals 145. Now we get to ones that I enjoy, the multiplication and division. So we've done some addition, subtraction, opposite of plus is minus, opposite of minus is plus. Here we have a few multiplication and division problems. So example 5. At a restaurant, Mr. Yang and his 3 friends decided to divide their bill, how much they paid for dinner, evenly. If each person paid $13, then what was their total bill? Write an equation to represent the total cost. Alright, let's figure out our important information. So, Mr. Yang and his 3 friends decided to divide, there's a great word there, the bill evenly. If each person paid $13, then what was the total bill? Write an equation to represent the total cost of the bill. Alright, let's go back and get our information in order here. So, Mr. Yang, that's one person, and his 3 friends. That's 3 people. So how many people? 4 people. They decided to divide the bill evenly, which means they divide by how many people? 4. So we have divide by 4. If each person paid $13, what was the total bill? Okay, see how I did that? Mr. Yang and his 3 friends. That's 4 people. They decided to divide the bill among themselves. Each person, once it was divided by 4, paid $13. So, back from the front. The total bill divided by the 4 people who ate dinner equaled $13. Got it? Good. Example 6. You're so close to being the end of this, but not quite. I'm told I go too fast, so I'll talk slower too. Example 6. Mr. Cohn is trying to read 12 pages of his book a night, or each night. The book has 156 pages. Write an equation to represent how many days it will take him. How many days will it take? It will take him to finish the book. Alright, let's do that. Highlighting first. So Mr. Cohn, he's going to read 12 pages of his book each night. The book's got 156 pages. So, how are we going to do this? Well, let's figure this out now. So Mr. Cohn, is trying to read 12 pages of his book. Ooh, I found it now. A night. It gives us a rate, an amount. So what we have here is 12 per night. Well, the book has 156 total pages. So, 12 pages per night equals 156 pages. Sorry, I went through that fast. Let me do that again. If we have 156 pages total, and they read 12 pages per night, Then to find the total number, you're going to take 12, the pages, and you're going to multiply it times how many nights he reads. That would be, you could guesstimate that way. Obviously, you're going to solve this through inverse operations, yet that's one way to solve. So 12n equals 156 is the equation for this problem. Well, it's been lovely working with you. As you can see, what we have right here is the last page is empty because basically you're at the end. What you needed to remember is to answer your guided question in your notes. Once you've answered your guided question, then go ahead and double check your notes. And when that's double down, figure out what you need to do. Find the assignment. And I'm not even sure what it is for this, but I'm sure on your note sheet, which will be coming out shortly to you, it says there. And if nothing else, I'll re-record over this later to show what it actually is. But for now, enjoy your weekend, or whenever you're listening to this, because I'm recording it on a Friday if you care. Enjoy your weekend, do the math. When in doubt, slow down and oh, it's not very good at that. Let me erase that. There you go. Replay what you don't get the first time, or pause. Because yes, I do go fast at times, and I sometimes assume you know what I'm talking about even when I do. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Enjoy the math. I'll see you next time.